Peter Parker Intern 2 Bruce Banner by 107th Infantry. Chapter 19. Dr. Stark. The lunch went as expected. Guest speakers spoke for far too long and awards were given out. Bruce patted Peter's arm when he didn't get an award, but it didn't seem that Peter minded at all. The internship was more than enough. Afterwards, people began standing and mingling. Bruce looked at the elevator, but they were already getting approached by several businessmen. Bruce Banner prepared to explain that the Hulk was in his past. "Peter Parker, how are you doing? We've heard that you helped make that new synthetic rubber," a large man in a business suit started. "Any chance you might want to work in the chemistry lab next year? We can pay if that's an issue," said another businessman who was smaller. They spoke like it was rehearsed. Peter looked at Bruce. Dr. B looked uncomfortable. "Of course you can." Peter's face scrunched up. "That's not what I meant. I'm coming back to your lab next year. How did they know I worked on that?" "Oh," said Bruce, much relieved. "No more point in redacting the public projects that won't harm you if Tony knows now. His NDAs are completely binding and totally internal." The businessman stood looking at Peter, who turned to them. "No thanks, I've got an internship." They left quickly, but Kyle came up next. "Dude, how are you?" "I mean since yesterday," he laughed. "I was betting on Tony Stark, but so were most other people." Peter deadpanned. "He doesn't even take interns." "Exceptions could be made," said a voice from behind Peter. Peter didn't even have to look. "Very funny, Mr. Stark. I've got an internship." "Can't I have this one thing?" Bruce said, looking at Tony tiredly. "Not very nice to call Peter a thing," Stark joked. "What are you doing here?" Peter countered. "Realising my mistakes. How's it going?" "It's a start." Suddenly, Peter was very aware that all of the eyes in the room were on him. Kyle's mouth was practically on the floor. Bruce took one for the team. "Well, Mr. Stark," he said loudly, "it was good of you to come see myself and my intern." "It's Dr. Stark. I have a PhD. "Damn it, Tony." "Then you can call me Dr. Banner, because I have 7. Peter chuckled at that one. "Goodbye, Dr. Banner, said Tony, rolling his eyes. "I'll see you later, I'm sure." Peter found it wildly hilarious that everyone who greeted Dr. B from then on said Doctor 7 times. By the 4th time, he couldn't contain his laughter. "Worth it to make Tony say it," whispered Bruce as they left. Peter agreed. When they got back to the lab, Bruce looked sheepish. He presented Peter with a small, very cheap award that had "Number 1 Intern" written on it in Sharpie to cover some other award. Suddenly, Bruce was in a warm hug. It was different than before. It wasn't Bruce comforting the boy. Peter's arms were almost crushing him with pure joy. That award sat on Peter's shelf when he got home. It was better than any award he had ever seen. His decathlon trophy had to be pushed back to accommodate the little award that was painted with fake gold, but Peter didn't hesitate. Chapter 20. Wakanda Forever. The next few weeks of Peter's life were normal. Well, normal for him at least. Papers were published, spiders were experimented on, trips to the bookshop became a weekly event. Life was good. Then Saturday, when he got home, Natasha Romanoff was sitting on his couch chatting with Aunt May. He could hear her from down the hall when he got in. "No Spider-Man, I promise. Bruce just wants to take him to Wakanda to see the technology. I'll be there the whole time." "When Tony Stark wanted to take him..." "Bruce is not Tony." "Technically true." "I'll be going too." "How is that supposed to be comforting? You're a spy." "Well, if anything goes sideways, Bruce won't have to Hulk out and Peter can keep his secret." Peter opened the door and came in. "Natasha, what are you doing here?" he said. He obviously knew why from overhearing, but he was also asking why Dr. Banner wasn't here. It wasn't like he even knew Natasha. She'd never even shown up at the bookstore to chat. "Bruce is shit at sneaking in places. We can't exactly give away your location." Email's out because it can be hacked. Basically, I'm here because the trip is time sensitive and he wants to know if you'll come. How did you know about the trip? Said May. He overheard. Got to be careful around those ears of his. Natasha laughed. Nodding, Peter sat on the couch across from the Black Widow. MJ would kill to be here, he thought. I'll go. Peter, what if something happens? May said. It won't, and if it does, I'll have 2 Avengers to take care of me. Fine, but I want him back by tomorrow night, 7 p.m. You got it, said an excited Black Widow. Peter didn't know she could even make that face. 30 minutes later of climbing through vents and going in circles in an unmarked car, Peter was on his way to Wakanda, sitting next to Dr. Banner. Of course Natasha was flying the plane. Peter watched the clouds and tried not to get too excited. How much more advanced could Wakanda really be? The skyline of a sprawling futuristic city answered him. Hi, I hope you enjoy the podfic. If you do, please consider subscribing as I try to upload at least twice a week. This will include the rest of the chapters of this fic. It really makes my day. I am taking requests, so if you have a favourite fic you would like covered, drop me a comment and I'll reach out to the author for you. Have a lovely day.